Let's move to the Boston Celtics now, who added Malcolm Brogdon in a trade for Aaron Naismith, Daniel Tice, and a first round pick. That first round pick is a 2023 Boston Celtics first round pick that is lottery protected. I think a lot of people expected Malcolm Brogdon to end up getting more than this on the market. I think there's a case that Indiana can sell this as if they got 2 first round picks for Malcolm Brogdon, because Aaron Naismith is a former lottery pick. This first round pick is likely going to convey this year in the first round. I think it's a trade that fits what both teams have to sell at the end of the day in terms of narrative, or at least in terms of Indiana. For Boston, I think it's just like a perfect addition to their conglomeration of, 6'5" to 6'9" versatile, skilled defenders who can dribble, pass, and shoot.
Yeah, I mean, so I think there's a couple things here. One, there was obviously a lot of hullabaloo about Boston not having a point guard, this, that, and the other. And while I never thought they needed a true point guard, just having the steady hand of Brogdon, his shooting, I mean, he's a really, really good shooter. He's had a 50-40-90 year before. He's consistently in the high 30s or low 40s for his three-point shooting. And he can straight up play make. You put the ball and he can play on the ball, off the ball. Obviously, he has experience playing against Giannis, playing with Giannis and Middleton, so he can play next to other high usage players, and then you can also help have him run second unit. So this is a much better fit than Schroeder, who was their previous backup point guard, in my opinion. And he kind of, you could slot him with the starters if you need to, if someone gets hurt. They do have injuries in they have injury prone players in Boston. They do. But with Indiana, I think I'm not surprised that this is all they got for Brogdon. He is on the older side. When it comes to his career, there was 3 years left on his contract as well, which is not terribly appealing for a player who's missed a huge chunk of games every season for the last 3 or 4 years. And so I think in Indiana for the longest time has never leaned into a rebuild or asset accumulation, right? They've always kind of threaded the needle between being competitive and young and feisty and fun, but never, I guess they got into some kind of contention when Paul George was there, and then previously when Danny Granger was there. Sure, I think you could say that, but that was about their peak, and now they're finally leaning into this asset accumulation mode, and I think that's good, because I think there's still other players on their roster who they can get a first or two for, right? Miles Turner is there. I'm lower on him than most people, but it's not unreasonable to think that they could net a first out for Turner at all. And I think Buddy Hield's an interesting expiring contract. No one's probably giving a first for Buddy, but he's an expiring, maybe teams looking to shed money, look into that option. Maybe that's a February trade that happens, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about Brogdon first. So Malcolm Brogdon has played in the last, let's say since 2017-18 onward, 48 games, 64 games, 54 games, 56 games, 36 games. He consistently misses time. This was a concern pre-draft that Malcolm Brogdon, it's why, I think he fell to the second round. I had him as a first rounder that year. There were concerns in regard to Malcolm's health, and those concerns persist in terms of just him kind of missing time here and there. When he's on the court, I think it's pretty undeniable that he is an impact player. I know that he's had some inconsistent 3-point shooting numbers over the course of the last couple of years. I'm not real worried about that. I think that in Boston, playing next to Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, he's going to get fed a pretty good diet of open catch and shoot jumpers. The thing that worries me 10% on this deal for Boston is the thing that we talk about often with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is that they can stagnate the offense a little bit, right? The offense can get a little bit bogged down. Malcolm Brogdon is a clinical, I'm going to catch and I'm going to stop, as opposed to immediately catch and shoot, immediately catch and, reverse the ball to the wing, right? I'm going to catch, I'm going to stop. I'm going to catch, I'm going to put the ball on the deck twice and then shoot, right? For him to be Malcolm's an incredibly smart human being, like incredibly smart human being. I remember talking to him pre-draft and I was like, holy shit, this guy should be like the senator of Virginia or Georgia or whatever he wants to be whenever he, leaves the NBA. With Malcolm, he needs to figure out that he needs to move it on a little bit quicker. I think in this particular role that he'll be playing in Boston, it's another versatile piece for the Celtics. They're going to be able to run out like Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown lineups with a center. They're going to be able to, take one of those guys off the court and, put a Grant Williams on the court. They're going to be able to put on, a second center. They're going to be able to, there are just so many different functions that they're going to be able to put on the table now that I think that this is a perfect fit for them to maintain versatility, flexibility. They gave up no one really that was in their rotation in the playoffs, and Aaron Naismith and Daniel Tice. Tice did play some minutes. Naismith did play some minutes, but you wouldn't necessarily call them full rotation guys. It's a home run for them. For Indiana, Naismith is interesting if you think that his shooting, is just purely real. I think he's a good shooter for sure. I worry about him being able to do anything else at an effective level on the court, but I think he'll shoot it. And at the end of the day, when you have Ben Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton as your backcourt of the future and you're trying to develop guys, I think that having shooters around is really valuable. It's why, like, if I was them, I would actually try to extend Miles Turner. And I think that he would be a guy that's young enough to grow with this core, grow with Tyrese Halliburton and Ben Mathurin, while also really helping to foster their development because of how effective he is as a rim protector, how effective he is as a shooter. His ability to space the floor, I think, would be useful. So I get it. I think it makes sense across the board. I think Indiana can sell it as 2 first-round picks. I think Boston gets another versatile chess piece that'll help them in the playoffs. It's kind of simple, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you nailed it with what you said about Brogdon needing to play a little bit faster. If you would watch some of those Indiana teams, and TJ McConnell will come into the game in place of Brogdon, and it looked like a completely different team in terms of how fast they got up and down the court and just how fast they were, the pace they played within the half court. And, it would seem to drive Nate McMillan crazy at times where it was like, okay, can we speed Brogdon up here a little bit? But yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it in terms of the trade structure. It's pretty simple. I think Boston moved on from Naismith at the right time. I can't imagine his value is ever going to be higher. Not that it was like terribly high in the first place, but in terms of relative to his contract, he's only 2 years in, has 2 years of cost control left, and Indiana gets 2 years to evaluate what he is. And if they want to keep him, great. If not, then there's really nothing lost for them in terms of investment.